Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight I have a ridiculous game from Meteor Taxi in the Gross Kurfurst. Now, this game has already started a little bit, so we're missing the first chunk of the match, but I want to break down a couple of things about this. Not only is there a ridiculous game in sense of the amount of damage that Taxi is about to put out, but also it's a ridiculous game to showcase some teaching points for the team. Now, the one thing you're going to notice is the enemy already has the Bravo cap. There's somebody in the Alpha cap that we don't know who it is, so it's obviously a destroyer. The friendly radar is, or the friendly Salem is radaring. Doesn't have the destroyer in the radar, unfortunately, because nobody's lighting up on the map and nobody's getting spotted. So we can assume that both of our destroyers went to Charlie early, which is always a bad idea. You do not want to send both of your destroyers to the same side of the map. Now, because of that, the enemy has been able to use their two destroyers to take both the Bravo and the Alpha cap uncontested, which means they have the advantage. All they gotta do now is hold it. Now, the enemy is not going to just hold it. They're actually going to be incredibly aggressive, which leads them into a potential problem where they could easily lose this match, despite having the advantage early on. But the deciding factor in this is what's going to happen between the two teams. The guys in the north at the Charlie cap are about to sail straight through that cap and engage the one battleship that's there. Now, I want you guys to keep an eye on that. Hayate gets spotted here, obviously with a Salem right there. The Salem's going to start ripping him apart. I don't see a shot coming from our GK here, but you can see in the GK you have to be very careful about when you choose to turn. This ship is incredibly large. So running into the border here and using it to help turn you the other direction, while it is going to take a long time, isn't the worst. Now here he does actually take a shot at the Hayate, which I do approve of. And lo and behold, the other destroyer managed to put himself in the exact same location. So now the enemy is doing the same thing that our team did at the beginning. Unfortunately, we already lose a Yamato. If you look at where the Yamato's positioning was, you can see why we lost the Yamato. You got two destroyers right on top of them. You got two battleships right there, one of which has torpedoes as well. So a lot of potential torpedoes right there. When you only reload every 25 seconds, you're going to struggle to deal with that kind of firepower just rushing you. And at this point, the enemy has a full-on lemming train heading up this right flank. So Meteor Taxi here is doing a good job of at least recognizing that, hey, there's a lot of firepower over here. I can't stand toe-to-toe with this, so I need to get into a kiting position. Now suddenly we're down two battleships. This is exactly what I was worrying about. As those two battleships put themselves in a position, they're not in a defensible position. They're kind of just sitting there in the open in the middle of the gap. They got nowhere to go. They can't maneuver their ship. They're not in a defensible position. They were essentially bow in. They get YOLO rushed by a couple of destroyers and a battleship with torpedoes, and suddenly they no longer exist. You got a Tulsa hiding on the backside of the island in a great position where he can shoot over the island and not actually get shot back, which is huge. As long as you're in that position, you've got a huge GPM advantage for your team. Now you can see Salem is trying to do the same thing, except he's spotted by probably the Giuseppe here. And as he's spotted, the Tulsa and him are starting to exchange rounds back and forth. Now look at the amount of firepower. We know that there are two destroyers here. We know that there's a Yama here. We know there's a Schlieffen here. We know there's Giuseppe Verdi here. Okay? We know that there's a Tulsa on the backside of the island. Now the one thing I would say is sketch here is that you're driving towards, or sailing towards, two destroyers and a Schlieffen. Plus, you're currently broadside to a Giuseppe, which, despite its terrible accuracy, you never want to be broadside to anything in any ship if you can get away with it. And here comes the shot. Bonk. There goes about 12,000 hit points. So that just goes to show that even a GK, as strong as it is, if it goes broadside, it's going to pay. Now here, he's got his guns perfectly ready for this Schlieffen. I think he rushes the shot just a little bit. If he aims that a little bit lower, I think he maybe gets multiple citadels there, but it doesn't matter. I understand wanting to aim higher here. You just want as many shells on target as possible to do as much damage as quickly as possible. You've got your Salem right there in a position that he can help take out that Schlieffen, And so you did a huge job, or you did a great job of getting rid of the majority of his hit points, allowing your teammates to easily take him down. Now, he immediately switches his targeting straight to the Kaaba, and look at that accuracy. Oh my god. Alright, I want you guys to register what just happened. This man just put 9 out of 12 rounds on that Kaaba. I wish I got that accuracy. I really do. I don't care what ship you're in, let alone a GK. But this entire time, he's getting forced back to the edge of the map. But he's limited in his ability to maintain angle due to the fact that he has to be aware that the edge of the map exists. Like, you're hemmed in. This is essentially like if you've ever played football or basketball. That was a great shot on Montana, again showing 8 penetrations, 5 overpins, 3 full pins, dealing over 20,000 damage, I think, to that Montana there. That was ridiculous. We're up to 125,000 damage, and this game ain't even close. But look at the friendly ships still. Friendly ships are still chasing that single battleship off the map. That battleship's doing his job. He's kiting, he's in reverse, he's staying bow in, he's limiting the amount of people that can damage him, right? The destroyer's never getting anywhere near him. The 2 battleships are just sitting there bow into him, broadside to the rest of the enemy team, and they're not taking any shots at these guys. So it's down to Taxi and this destroyer, which, let's be honest, this destroyer has been sus at best, being behind him, doing his best carrier impersonation. But again, we didn't expect much out of the destroyer. He takes a shot. That one was a bad shot. For a couple of reasons. You don't have the penetration angle to go through the cheek of the Yama at that angle, so you needed to aim higher. You can see Yama knows he just fired, so Yama is opening the angle here. This is guaranteed kill for the GK. Yama is going to get very limited amount of use out of this, and GK is going to be able to kill you immediately. So you can see he takes about 12k again, and oh my god, he gets robbed. That should have been a kill. Not a single citadel offered on a broadside Yama at 8.2 kilometers. Now that is just tragedy. Now, one thing I would like to know, I don't know if we're using the 427mm guns or the 406s. So, Taxi, if you're watching this, please let me know. He uses one gun to help get rid of the Yama. He does, fortunately, manage to get rid of him. Montana's full broadside, begging for it. Lines up a good shot, gets 1 citadel. A lot of those shells falling into the water, unfortunately. But he does get 4 overpins and 1 citadel. And now that leaves the Montana with very little hit points. But look, not only did our team fail to kill the ship in the north, but they're dying. And now our destroyer has looped all the way back, realizing that the other enemy destroyer has decided, remember the Hayate earlier, has decided to go all the way across the map and get into the Bravo, or the Charlie cap, to try to take it. Now, we trade about 12,000 and then another chunk to the Montana, but the Montana's very low health. If we can just finish off the Montana, we can maybe start to really put a hurting on these guys. Giuseppe versus GK, even if GK's low health, I expect Giuseppe should be able to be easily countered. He sends 1 set of rounds downrange, 1 turret downrange to help get rid of the Montana. Gets away with it, takes minimal damage there. You can see Giuseppe is actually lobbing HE now. Like, Giuseppe is like, okay, well, I don't have much of a choice here. I've got to try to get some fires. So he's loading the HE. He's trying to get some fires. And not the best shot there on the Giuseppe. You want to hit the superstructure, and I expect he was probably going for that. But maybe he overestimated the speed of the Giuseppe. Giuseppe's probably sailing around at like quarter, maybe half speed right now. So when you're going away from him, your shells are going to hit a little further forward, so you got to aim a little further backwards here. But Giuseppe makes a huge, risky play here by going all the way broadside to get his full broadside active. But by the time we're able to get turned back and take advantage of it, we're going to end up not being able to do much. But he does load HE here, and he gets a double fire immediately, picks up the Confederate. But at this point, it's too little too late. Like, you're not going to win this match. You've got a destroyer left that our destroyer has to win, and our destroyer hasn't shown that he's capable of doing anything useful up to this point, other than capturing the base initially. Hasn't really shown anything. Our battleship finally takes down the enemy battleship, but now he finds himself in the open against a Tulsa and whatever the other cruiser is. We get a triple fire out of nowhere, but unfortunately, actually, it looks like it's going to burn. That is a permanent triple fire, as the Tulsa shows that he's actually charging us as well. And now he lets the triple fire burn on the battleship and then tries to focus the Tulsa here. He's got armor piercing loaded. If he does land good shots here. He should be able to overmatch Tulsa, no problem whatsoever, and hopefully land a huge hit on the Tulsa, and he does. 16,000 damage near enough. Giuseppe loading AP, completely showcasing the Italian accuracy there. The only thing worse than German accuracy in this game is Italian accuracy. I swear I hate Italian battleships. You guys know this. Our destroyer did manage to take out the enemy destroyer, but now it's too little too late. The game's over. There's 2 minutes left. We get another great shot into the Tulsa, but unfortunately no citadels, and we leave him with just enough to get away. So his DPM is going to continue to be a problem. Meanwhile, Giuseppe finally gets a couple of shells into the superstructures and is just slowly but surely going to be a problem. Between the two of these guys, they are going to end up taking down our GK. But we get one more shot with the rear turrets of Justice and Truth. Unfortunately, no dice once again. We've got a potential shot here. Oh no! The fire on the single shell into the superstructure, and down he goes. But look at the damage done here. 301,000 damage. And the game wasn't even close. And this goes right back to what we always talk about. Knowing the map, paying attention to the map. Now, Taxi did nothing wrong in this. I mean, and it shows. I mean, 301,000 damage, did everything he could to carry his team to a victory, and he got no support. The destroyer that was with him the entire game didn't do crap. The Salem did a little bit by helping get rid of what do you call it? The Schlieffen. But the friendly Schlieffen sails all the way around the map, struggles to get rid of a single battleship with the assistance of a Hayate and another battleship. And between everybody on his team not being in a good position to do anything useful, he manages to lose this amazing match. And that, unfortunately, is usually the case when you have these ridiculous damage games. Most of the time when you have these insane games, it ends up being a loss, just due to the fact that you're carrying so much of the burden for your team, which means they are not doing anything helpful. But 301,000 damage, Confederate high caliber. Did we miss something? Is there something else that could have been talked about during this match? I know it was a quick one. I do try to make sure that we call out the things that I see, trying to point out like what I think went wrong. And honestly, I place this blame almost solely on the 2 destroyers for our team. Those 2 destroyers were useless for the majority of this match. They captured a base early, they split up early, but then they didn't do anything else. The Hayate spends way too long chasing a battleship who's reversing, doesn't seem to do anything against that battleship, and then decides way too late to go back and grab the cap and kill the enemy destroyer, but by then it was too late. So, again, I place most of the blame on them, but also those 2 battleships that hemmed themselves in to that small gap and then got YOLO rushed by the entire enemy team. You got to take a little bit of the blame as well, because you can't put yourself in that situation. You got to recognize that they're there, and you got to try to make sure you put yourself in a situation where you can still maneuver. Putting a battleship in a situation where you are not able to get anywhere, like you're not able to move forward or reverse or turn your ship at all, is a recipe for disaster. You're going to die. So let me know what you guys think. Did you guys enjoy this video? Because I certainly did. It was a great one with teaching moments across the board and a ridiculous outcome. So let me know what you guys think, and if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.